And this is the most common type of style that you use both for informative and for persuasive essays. Remember I told you you're so lucky because you're trying to write academically. Writing academically is something that everybody can do. Everybody can learn to do this. You're following a formula. So what I want to show you today is a formula for 5-paragraph essay writing. Keeps everything really organized because you're going to have the basic structure. And I know we learned this in school, in high school, introduction, body, conclusion. That's basically the 5-paragraph style. You can use it in any subject area. And it's a style that we do use on campus. And you can also use it for argumentative, although on Thursday I'm going to show you the different style for argument. I'm going to show you the one with the counter argument in it, but it's still basically a 5-paragraph style. So, what goes on? This is quite simple. So in paragraph 1, and we're going to talk about as if it is just a 5-paragraph one, and then the handouts I gave you, we're going to look at a couple of models. So with a short essay, remember by short essay I mean 10 pages or less. In a short essay, your thesis is usually in the introduction. So paragraph 1, we've got the thesis, and it gives us sort of a blueprint for what the rest of the essay is about. The body paragraphs, we call this introductory paragraph, paragraph 1, body paragraphs 2 to 4, but I could have said body paragraphs 2 to 59. Okay, but I'm just talking about, look at in short format, so body paragraphs 2 to 4, and what you do is you have those subtopics and provide supporting information. So remember the train that is that you guys? I drew the train on the board that did look like a train? Yeah. Well, so that's what if you think of the old-fashioned trains that had a caboose on them, the introduction is the engine, right? And the thesis is there, and then it's pulling all the cars. Each boxcar has a paragraph. Each boxcar has a paragraph, and the paragraph has a topic sentence, supporting details, a concluding sentence, and then there's a hitch that joins it on to the next paragraph, a transition, and then you come to the very end, which is the caboose, or the paragraph 5. And in paragraph 5, you restate the main thesis idea, you don't restate it exactly, and reminds the reader that these 3 points were developed. So basically, all this is, sincerely, all it is, in your introduction, you tell me what you're going to do, and an idea of how you're going to go about doing it. The body of the essay, you actually do that, you provide the supports, and then the conclusion of paragraph 5, you remind me as your audience that you did what you set out to do. So that's why I say it's sort of a circular shape. So a good essay has a circular shape. You start off here, you develop it, and it kind of concludes where you can almost hook that conclusion up to it in a sense. So it's like, the train that you have around the Christmas tree. It's going around, right? So it almost hooks up to the end there. So that's the basic format. If you keep that in mind for all of your essay writing, and there's other styles, there's a different style, we'll look at that another day, and there are other ways to do argument. But this is your basic essay style. So here you have it. So when you're writing an outline, so for example, I've asked you to give me an outline, hopefully by the end of the month, of your research paper. This is kind of what the outline's going to look like. So you're going to have your introductory paragraph, and because this is a short essay, we put it all in one. But remember, if you're writing a longer essay, you can put your thesis into a separate paragraph. It's up to you. So introductory paragraph, you're going to have your general introduction statement, or what I call the grabber. So entering orientation is talk about your grabber. It's what gets my attention, right? So the grabber, you're going to have your thesis statement, and thesis statement isn't necessarily one sentence. It's usually 2 sentences in a short essay, like a 10-page essay. It's usually 2 sentences. And you usually give me kind of a little bit of a blueprint, so I know what's coming next. Okay, so essay writing is not mystery writing. It's telling me exactly what's going to come along. The body, you've got your subtopics. Okay? So, and each one of these is going to relate back to your thesis. So in the 5-paragraph essay, you probably would develop 3 main ideas. And each one of those ideas relates back to the thesis statement. Okay? So each one of these goes back to the thesis statement. And then of course you're going to have more points underneath those. And then your concluding paragraph. Concluding paragraph relates back. And somehow talk about key points. You might have a closing statement, which might be appeal to the emotions if it's persuasive. It might be a call to action. It might just be an informative conclusion. So there's your basic outline. Now, of course, when you're writing your outline that's coming in a week or 2, I would suggest doing it this way. If you want to do it with the, with the graph like this, that's fine as well. So whatever you're most comfortable with. If you're going to do it this style, I would strongly suggest, and do your introduction, you're going to know it's an outline. Why don't you write out what you think your grabber is going to be? Okay, so have your grabber. That's such a crass sounding word, but it's getting my attention. It's basically grabbing my attention. And you're going to have your thesis statement in here. And I would write those both out in full. So you might actually have your intro paragraph almost written. Okay, then you're going to come to here, to your body. So when you have your first subtopic, what you might actually write out is your actual topic sentence. But then you're going to tell me what the main points, what are the supports that you're going to use to develop that topic? And you might even have some more points underneath. So this looks fairly simple here, but remember that this is going to be further developed. In the actual outline that you turn in, you can develop that further. You can see over in the corner there, it's probably the screen, you can't see where it is. Okay, so it looks something like that. And if you use that in the Buckley textbook, there's models there that you can follow. Okay, so I'm just going to show you an example one here. This is a short little essay, and here's the grabber. Many great civilizations have had an effect on our modern world. Well, it's not going to be earth-shattering, but it's getting my attention. And then what is the person going to talk about? So that's the topic. What is the thesis or focus? Remember the difference? Topic, thesis, what's the difference between the two? The topic tells me what the essay is about. What does the thesis tell me? Yeah, it gets your point of view about the topic. So the topic is what you're writing about. So this student is writing about the effect of great civilizations on our modern world. Well, okay, because this probably comes out of a world history class. But then the main claim of the thesis, one of the greatest, most influential civilizations in the Asian region was the Assyrians. Oh, okay. Well, now I know what this person's going to talk about. But what about this? What are they going to use to convince me that the Assyrians were one of the greatest, most influential civilizations that affected our world? Well, here actually are the subtopics that the student's going to develop in that essay. So the geographical location of the civilization, point 1. Their well-organized government, point 2. Oh, I should put a hyphen there for well-organized. And their strong religious beliefs and social structure, 3. All combined to make the Assyrians one of the world's greatest civilizations. I shouldn't do this while I'm watching, so you think you can, Dancing with the Stars. There should be a hyphen there, and this is actually, should be an E there for 1. Same thing I must do when you get your essays back, if the writing looks a little shaky. I was sitting on the couch when I was marking too, and my cats kept sitting on me because they're missing my son and his girlfriend, and so they kept bumping my arm, and I'm looking at the shaky writing. Not excuses, just to let you know. Okay, so here we have, this is introductory paragraph. Well, was that difficult? The student knew what he or she was supposed to write about. This is what they want to talk about. Well, I think that one of the most influential ones was the Assyrians, so that's what I'm going to focus on. And this is just a very straightforward, almost informative style paper. Well, what are you going to tell me about? What about the Assyrians made them this? Well, here are the points. And so then I know exactly, as a reader, I know exactly what's coming next. Because in the body of this 5-paragraph style essay, you're going to develop these 3 things that you outlined here. So these 3 points that you've outlined here, or the student's outline, are going to be developed in the 3 body paragraphs. It's a formula. Okay? It's a very set formula. So each paragraph provides facts to support the thesis statement, and each paragraph has these 3 parts. So remember we talked about this before, and so that each body paragraph is like a little mini essay. So each body paragraph has a topic sentence. Then it's developed with supports. So these are all supports. And then it comes to a conclusion. And then there's going to be some kind of hook that joins it onto the next paragraph. Same thing, this one joins onto the one above. If you look at that, that looks just like the outline for an essay, right? You've got your topic, you've got your supports, and you've got your conclusion. If you think of each paragraph like a little mini essay, and that's what it is when you're writing informative or persuasive papers. Okay, so you can see the basic structure of this essay now. There's an introductory paragraph that is there. This is telling you what's going to be developed. The first of the body paragraphs is developing this point. The second body paragraph is developing the point about the government. The third body paragraph is talking about religion and social structure. I should have left out one of those. It looks more nicely like a three-point one. Okay, but you see that that's all it is. So when you hand in your proposal, your bibliography, I'll have an idea of what you're writing about, but when you actually hand in your outline, I could almost write the essay for you, because your outline is what you're using to write your essay. So I can see, oh, this is exactly what's going to go on. And if you're writing APA style and using abstract, even more so. And you're thinking, oh, but this is kind of boring, because I know exactly what's in my essay. And that's how it is in academic writing. You want to know what's in the essay. Okay, so it's like cliche I keep saying, the best surprise is no surprise in academic writing. Now, persuasion, which we'll look at on Thursday, is a little bit different, because sometimes you want to have a call to action and a conclusion. But this is basically what you're going to do, is let me know ahead of time what exactly is happening in your essay. And this goes along with principles of learning and memory that we talk about in orientation. Because if you can connect to something you already know, it makes much more sense. So I already know what this is going to be about. So now I can connect to this, so it makes a lot more sense to me. Now to get to more details. So in the body, the first paragraph, we talk about geographical location. So what are you going to tell me about the geographical location? Those will be your points there. The next body paragraph, organized government, what are you going to tell me about it? The third one, what are you going to tell me about it? And I'm going to keep drilling this into you, so by the time you do English composition next time, you'll probably be able to teach the course yourself. So when we're developing, we develop with RANDs. And this is just an acronym to help you remember. Can you remember what GD stands for? So the types of details you want to add to your essay. What is the R? Easiest one. Give me an. There's reason. Did you get example? Yeah. This is why I think it's really important. I will go over 7 times. And think of this as a capital letter. If you're going to quote somebody, you're going to cite it, right? You're going to have names. And university, there's some things in the charts and graphs, so what's really important? If you're doing a survey, numbers. And this one is less important than academic writing, although if you're writing up a science lab, I assume this has some importance to it. So reasons, examples, names, numbers, senses. So remember that as RANDs. So when you're trying to develop each of these ideas, think of RANDs. Okay, if I'm talking about geographical location, it's fine to just say, oh, geographical location, but you need to develop that further. What is it about the geographical location of the Assyrians that made it so important? Well, 3 things about the geography, about the location. And then you're going to talk about the government. Well, what are the main facts about the government that makes it such an important historical society? What about the social structure? Okay? And it's got the religion in here too. So you develop it that way. Does this look simple?
I have a question. And one of also what they said first to use personal experiences to put in there, but then from other people they told me that when you write a research paper, you're not supposed to. Your audience isn't careful with personal experience.
So that's an instance where you have to talk to the professor, because generally you write your academic papers in third person, right? So you don't say I. But if the professor's asking you to include personal experience, you need to ask that professor to include that using the first person. And how would you like that included? Because yeah, generally a research paper, you're observing, you're researching, you're observing, almost like the person writing an article for the newspaper, right? You're detached from it and you're writing in the third person. But I am seeing more and more of this on campus. With certain faculties came on board, such as nursing and kinesiology, they both added a lot of journal writing to their curriculum, and journal writing, of course, has to be first person, your experience. And I have seen now more and more professors are saying, can you put yourself into this essay? And then you need to ask, can I put myself in this first person? Because what it does do is it changes a bit to a little bit more informal. But also, when you're doing persuasive essay, so is it persuasive, the essay? Are you arguing?
No, it was just research on health issue.
Oh, okay. Is this for nursing then, or for social work?
No, it's for, you have to take it if you're trying to get into the medical field.
Oh, okay. Health and health
I
professionals.
think I'm taking the same thing. Is it called a scholarly paper for you? Where you're going to be using personal experience, but for mine, we have to interview people and find people that meet certain health determinants.
Yeah.
And it's a little strange because it doesn't involve like research or anything. It's all personal communication.
Well, then you are including research. This personal communication, that's what's called primary research, right?
Yeah.
So he or she's asked to do a paper with primary research.
Okay.
So is this Nadine's class?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just ask Nadine. So primary research, where you do go and interview someone. And then also she's saying, well, you use yourself as primary research then, what your experiences are. And what she's trying to do in that class, I know I read over the original curriculum from the woman who wrote the course, and what she's trying to do is get you to see yourself where you fit into the healthcare system, and to make it personal, because then you're going to have more attachment to that area of study and profession. So she's asking us for primary research, but then you need to ask her, then how do we report this primary research to you? Primary research with interviews, of course, you can do third person, but if you're asking about our experiences, and I use first person, is this going to change the style from formal to a little bit more informal? So that's a good question to ask. I'll actually ask her myself, because I'm curious. But yeah, so you're going to get some of these sort of shades of gray in there, and you've got to be very, very careful that you're not overstepping a boundary one way or the other, because some talks are very, very strict about this. But I know with health and health professions, they're wanting students to feel a sense of personal connection and involvement. So the concluding paragraph. Well, what you can do there, concluding paragraph, you want to relate back to the thesis statement, because what you want to do is convince me that you've covered the topic that you said you would. So you want the area of Mesopotamia benefited greatly from the settlement of the Assyrians. So the key points, yes. The geography offered abundance of food and resources. The government advanced social structure provided people with security and time to develop a thriving culture. And then you always want to have a good closing statement. However, remember that's a transitional word, however, so it's letting me know, a slightly different point of view is going to come up here. However, as with many other great civilizations, Assyria was not able to sustain its existence and was eventually attacked and overtaken. And that's a concluding statement. So it's very simple, it's following the formula. So really, all you're doing, your introduction, if I'm your audience introduction, you're telling me what you're going to do. So the topic, what your point of view is on that topic, so what you're going to do in the essay. The body of the essay, you actually do what you said you would, and the conclusion is basically a reminder to your audience that you did do what you said you would do. So I'm reminded, oh yeah, that was their topic in their thesis statement. They developed all the points they said they would, and there's a strong closing statement. That's the way this essay is done. It's finished. And there you have your essay. So let's take a look at the handouts. If we didn't get the handouts of the handouts. Someone else who did pass them? Okay. If you look at the first page on that. If you look at the first page, this is the diagram here to show you the structure of the essay. So what I want you to do is look back beside you. I want you to look at this cute little essay. And remember, any work that you write will not show up in class like this unless you have given her permission. Okay, so I'll always have your permission before I show an essay. So if you suddenly see an essay that belongs to one of your older siblings and thinking, oh my gosh, you're gonna... No, permission was given. So this student gave permission for his essay to be used as an example for other students. And this is a lovely little essay, and it was a 5-paragraph essay. So the students, the assignment given was to choose the topic, one of the topics given, and write a 5-paragraph essay on that topic, demonstrating to me that you know how to structure a 5-paragraph essay with an introduction, a body, and a conclusion, so that you could follow this exact type of outline for your essay. So you're going to have an introductory paragraph, a thesis statement of plan of development. You're going to have 3 supporting paragraphs that all have topic sentences, rems, concluding sentences, and you're going to have a concluding paragraph. So take a look at this essay, Flunking with Style, and what you have, the next page I gave you, is one that you might want to use as a model for your essay, but use it today to actually take apart this Flunking with Style. So what I want you to do is to go through and look at this paper. So first of all, before you take it apart, I want you to skim through, knowing what you're looking for, an intro, grabber, thesis, body paragraph, conclusion. And this is an A+ essay, okay? And this student got their essay published in a textbook, which is really nice. A number of my students have had their essays published in Canadian versions of textbooks. Partly because I knew the person who was doing the Canadian version, and this is many years ago, and she asked me if I could get permission, and all the paperwork was signed, and students gave their essays to be used as examples. And this essay, which did receive an A+, was used as an example in a textbook. So you're going to look at this and read through and be thinking of a structure, and also be thinking, what makes this an A+ essay? It looks so simple. What makes it an A+ essay? And then I want you to go through and start working on this, and you'll actually see how the student followed the exact outline, exact structure that was given. So I'll give you about 10 minutes to go ahead and work on that. And if your neighbor's feeling generous, you can always go over and look at their paper as well, if you're willing to share it with neighbors.